always be critical, 45 to 50 laps. You heard Dick Berggren talk about it, fuel mileage strategy. Remember, that's what won the race for Jeremy Mayfield, the 19 car, here in August. Chasing the weather, two different ways. We're chasing to make sure we can get this 400-miler in, but you're chasing also the handling of your race car because of the weather. You know what, DW? I can make changes every pit stop. You may have to help me out a little bit, like Mike pointed out, moving that car around to find where it likes to run.
Yeah, this is a big, wide racetrack, and you can do it.
A lap and a half before we go green at this somewhat unique D-shaped 2-mile superspeedway, twin to the track in College Station, Texas, and much like the one built in California, east of Los Angeles in Fontana. With a lap and a half before we race, we talked to some of the top Nextel Cup drivers and got their impressions of what you're about to see.
Michigan is definitely a challenge.
By probably the first lap coming by, you're going to see 3 and 4 wide down the front stretch.
It's a racy racetrack because you can run the top, you can run the middle, and you can run the bottom, and it gives you a lot of options.
If your car's not handling good, you can move around and hunt around to find a line that'll help your car handle or get through the corners a little bit better.
Before the day's out, you're going to see drivers in cars on the very bottom of the track, but you're also going to have a guy that's almost scraping the rear bumper on the wall on the outside, which is 5 lanes up from there.
That's the best part of the race, is really right after restarts, man. You know, you get cars that are in the back, they got to get to the front. You get 3 wide. It's a lot of action.
There's tons of things that go on at Michigan that make it so fun to race and to watch.
Originally, this event was the 600-mile race, the Yankee 600. Cale Yarborough, the first winner here over Leroy Yarborough. That was back in 1969, the first time NASCAR came to the Irish Hills.
Follow up a little bit on what Larry was talking about, fuel strategy. What you're going to see a lot of times mid-pack back, you're going to come down pit road. If you don't do anything but just hook that gas can up and top that tank off, because that'll be critical later in the race.
Never pass a chance up to take fuel on.
I don't care if it's but a gallon. Come in, get that gallon, because it may make the difference.
There you can see the difference right there, not only in the ambient temperature, but as well as the track. Huge difference from Friday qualifying, especially the practice yesterday.
But Larry, I mean, I'm serious when I tell you, it only makes it better for everybody. You don't have to make that many adjustments because you just pick up more grip. That's all you do.
One car will go to the rear. Brian Newman replaced a transmission. He had spun in qualifying and was going to start 42nd anyway.
That was wise on their part then.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
How about that sign, guys? Isn't that sweet? Race fans are special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. We're a mile away from the green. All of our NASCAR on Fox onboard cameras, including the pole sitter, Casey Kane, top center.
Should have your favorite driver in there somewhere.
It's a big unknown for our pole sitter, Casey Kane. You heard Matt Yoakum talk about it. A lot of repairs to that car since he hit the wall in practice yesterday. Well, DW, she's going to have more grip. You know what more grip means? More speed. And you know what? Every once in a while, you might be 5 wide down this front straightaway. So you better reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Happy Father's Day, guys, and let's go racing.
The third starter, Brian Vickers' car, took a while to get up to speed. The drivers in the outside lanes had a little advantage through turn 1 and 2. And Vickers drops in behind Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. in 5th. Kane had no trouble establishing his lead right from the drop of the green.
No, and he come off turn 2, where the last time he came off there, it wasn't very pretty. Right now, things are looking pretty good for him, though. other than that orange flame kind of glowing in his mirror.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. here in the Budweiser car. The 8 car told his crew in yesterday's practice, don't touch it. I'm happy with it. He's backing it up so far.
Got a challenge for the lead right here, guys. Jeff Gordon looking underneath.
And Gordon gave him turn 1 on the opening lap. And this may be a give back, maybe not. Let's see if Gordon holds the lead.
No, Gordon's that much quicker, Mike, and I like his race car. It's the first time in weeks I've seen his car down against the track, sealed off, aerodynamically the best I've seen that car all year.
Trouble turn 2. One car spins down to the bottom. It is Robbie Gordon.
I just say, I am amazed every time one of these guys. He didn't hit anything. Every time these guys spin these cars out now, they don't back them up in the fence. They save them.
But what I like about the backstretch at Michigan is all that runoff area that's pavement. There's no grass even over on the backstretch.
Really, really slow, buddy.
Helps in 2 ways. The car doesn't get upset bouncing through the grass and get air under it. And also, when you can slide on that asphalt, you scrub off speed.
Yeah, and the reason they're telling him really, really slow is they don't want that tire to come apart and tear a fender up or something. So limp her back.
Look just straight ahead from Jeremy Mayfield at that bright green, greenish yellow car.
Just stepped out, got down in the corner, round she came.
From Michael Waltrip. First caution of the day out very early in Michigan for Robbie Gordon's spin.
Seems like ever since there's been
See Greg Biffle there in the 16 car. As far as a fast lap in practice yesterday, pretty much in his own zip code. He's moved up 4 positions since the start of the race from 10th to 6th. Winner of 2 of the last 3 races here.
Getting set for the restart to begin lap 7. Jeff Gordon, who has led 18 different Michigan races, brings him down to the green.
I think the question for Jeff, we see him every week now. We've seen him do this time and time again. Out front, he can drive away. They got to keep him there, though, or else that's going to be the test to see if he can come through traffic if they get back there later in the day. Boy, look at that 25 car, Larry. He was gassing her up through the middle of the corner. Ryan Vickers.
Good run in the middle of the corner of 1 and 2.
Dale Jr. wisely gives him a little room there because it's a little loose getting into turn 3. Fights back on the outside. Should have the advantage because you get that momentum off of turn 4.
And Darrell, we're seeing that at more and more racetracks where if you can keep that car on the high side on the exit of the corner, you carry that speed all the way down the straightaway. Talked to some guys this morning, and I think a lot has to do with the gear rule NASCAR has. You have to run a little bit higher gear than they would normally run, so you have to keep it wound up on the high side.
Yeah, you hear guys all the time talking about kind of interesting term, roll the corner, so that you don't slow the car down. With the brakes, you just let it roll through there and keep the momentum up. Momentum racetracks, momentum racing.
Look at J.J. Yaley way up in that high groove in that green 18. Runner-up last night in the Busch race at Kentucky. And he was there right from the drop of the restart green flag. Trying to climb from 12th where he restarted. Now fighting for 10th. Kurt Busch working underneath in the 2.
I think that car on the outside, he found that outside groove already, surprisingly. Dirt track racer J.J. Yaley got the high groove working. Might make the pass stick here.
Mark Martin coming with him in the 6.
You know, Mark really fell back at the start of this race. He qualified up there in the 8th position. He fell out of the top 10. Now he's working his way back as he battles Kurt Busch in the 2 car. This is a battle for 12th.
I think there's probably a big sigh of relief down in that 9 pit, Casey Kane's team, after the damage that car suffered in practice yesterday, to see it up there running as well as it is. think that's probably Ray's probably saying, we got it right, boys.
Third place.
And you know, Darrell, we've talked a lot about Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. Of course, he's much further back in points than Dale Earnhardt Jr. But I think if Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 group, if they can have a good run at this type of racetrack, this has been the Achilles heel for them, I think they will solidify that we are a championship contender.
Guess what?
It's raining again. Pace car will pick him up down in turn 1. Casey Kane led the first lap, and Jeff Gordon has led thereafter. Let's go down to the pits of the pole sitter, Matt.
DW, you were talking earlier about Casey Kane. That's exactly what he told him under the last yellow. He says the car is great. Nice job fixing it. He also says that the racetrack has so much more grip than it did Saturday afternoon. The front and back of the car really sucked right down into the pavement, and he likes how that 9 car is. Steve?
Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pretty happy with that number 8 car. He said the car is good getting into the corners, a little bit snug in the center, and he said I'm sliding the right rear off of turn 2, but he said on a scale of 1 to 10, he said not even a 1, just telling you what the race car is doing. He likes that race car.
"11 laps, caution for the second time. The first one for Robbie Gordon's spin, and this one for another rain shower as these clouds continue to drift through and across southern Michigan. Looking out Dave Blaney's roof cam.
Dave back in the 35th position right now. You can see the rain hitting his onboard camera there, and I think we're going to go ahead. Looks like we're going to see some cars go ahead and hit pit road, and this is what we talked about. Dick Bergman, these are guys going ahead and making adjustments, getting that fuel.
Dick?
Mark Martin basically left this decision about whether to pit or not up to Pat Tyson, his crew chief, to that.
Looks like almost half the field chose to came in, including Kyle Busch, who was running up in the top half dozen, and Kevin Harvick.
And they're not coming in and putting on rain tires.
No.
That we don't run rain tires in the NASCAR. The cars are too heavy, the speeds are too high, the tracks are have too much banking. They just don't have a tire capable of holding these cars.
Although, might we see rain tires next week if necessary on the road course at Sonoma?
I think they kind of forgo that program. Decided it just wasn't worth fooling with. Now, me and Hammond might run rain tires next week.
Hammond will run anything.
Mud grips.
Gotta watch that. Go ahead, fix the right side. Just take your time. Put 4 tires on, fix the fender.
Now, the frustration, Steve, and Matt Kenseth's voice right there comes from the fact he puts that on the shoulders of the spotter and the crew chief to be taking care of him in part of those situations. Steve, the best thing that could happen is just tell him to stop before that lick.
That's exactly right, Larry. Matt Kenseth is coming back down pit road. In fact, the end of that radio transmission, he told Robbie, he said, you've got to watch that car for me. He said, I can't see everything. He was telling Robbie Reiser, who's atop the pit box, watch the oncoming traffic for me.
Now, if you're Robbie Reiser, you're watching the car, your car, and you're saying, okay, go. The spotter upstairs is watching the traffic coming in. There's just that brief moment in time when you can't get to him to tell him to stop.
Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth's crew chief.
And since Lester has pitted one pit box in front of Kenseth, Lester was trying to enter his pit as Kenseth pulled out into the driver's door.
When they drop the jack on these cars today, these guys are sitting here with the engine turned about $8 grand. And when they drop the jack, they pop the clutch, they take off like John Force. So it's pretty hard to whoa it up in a short distance.
And you know, this year, guys, we have seen more problems and mistakes on pit road than I think we've ever seen. Why? Because these guys know if they can pick up one position on pit road, that's one less position you've got to try to make up on that racetrack.
And I think the other thing that happens too, Larry, is all these pit stops are orchestrated. Everybody knows what their job is. But the ones that really have problems is when all of a sudden something doesn't go right. I don't know if they have plan B or not. But some of these guys can do plan A, no problem, but then they get into plan B and they don't know what to do.
Pretty good sized pit road here with pretty good sized boxes. Really hard to get in trouble here.
A close call for Matt Kenseth and Phil Lester. We're under caution. Here's where the Roushketeers are running early on in this race.
Not too shabby right there, guys, this early.
But that's actually the points as of right now.
Set to go back to green.
Boy, Jeff Gordon spun the rear tires on that restart, Darrell, as he accelerated.
Yeah, with the little moisture we've had and as damp as it is, probably just the tires had no heat in them.
We see that a lot at this type of racetrack on restarts.
See that a lot when you got about 850 horsepower in second gear.
At 7th place, oh, look at this, 3 wide. Sterling Marlin outside, Kurt Busch on the bottom, DJ in the middle.
And when you're that guy, Sterling Marlin on the outside, you're saying, please don't push up because I'm coming through.
This is a battle for 5th right here. Greg Biff on the 16 car. Not surprised to see this going on. Remember, fastest in both practice sessions yesterday. You go back to the sister racetrack at Fontana, California. Pretty much had those boys wore out until the engine let go.
I'll tell you what, he has done an incredible job, Larry, to get himself back in this championship chase. 5 races ago, he was 232 points out of 10th. And in 5 races, he's made almost all those up.
2 cars coming hard right behind them. Jeff Burton passed Bobby Labonte a lap ago. And now Labonte gives way to Burton and to the 18 car that Bobby used to drive, J.J. Yaley, behind Burton.
You know, watching J.J. Yaley in the 18 car, even in his interview from Kentucky last night in the Busch Series race, he said he just wished his Cup car was just a little bit like his Busch car. I think this could be one of the cars that's being a beneficiary of this cooler weather. More grip, fixes some problems.
Casey Kane looking back after the lead, but those two have company. Dale Jr.'s in the picture.
Well, you just think about it, Larry. At 92 degrees, can you walk across your driveway barefooted?
Ouch,
no.
Quickly.
70 degrees? Not too bad. I'll run and get the paper, dear.
Budweiser car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. You see him right there all over the back bumper of Casey Kane in this 9 car.
That baby's lurking right there is what he's doing.
And to update you, Matt Kenseth made multiple pit stops. They checked the toe in, found that was fine. They changed right side tires, did a little more patchwork, but he's back underway as again Kane looks for the lead in the backstretch.
Yeah, Casey moved up to the high side that time off turn 2, got a pretty good run off turn 2. It carries all the way down this backstretch. Looks like Jeff really drives his car off in the corner a little deeper than Casey Kane. Look at how high they've already moved up the racetrack here just 20 laps into this race.
Scott Briggs trying to hold off Carl Edwards. 12th place. Martin Truex there as well.
Good run for Martin Truex Jr. Had a good qualifying run. Qualified there in 11th. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate. Not surprised to see him running good. Another team that needs a good run.
Tell you what, Kane gets off of turn 2 so much better than Jeff does. Now, Jeff's a little bit better in 3 and 4, seems like. See Jeff fight back on the outside. Maybe he'll give him room, maybe he won't. No, he won't.
Look at the run Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car got on the high side, pulls right up to the rear bumper of the 24 car Gordon.
Well, that's one thing about this.
Turn 3, 1 car spins, hits the fence, hits Tony Stewart. Clint Boyer gets a piece of him. And Stewart was caught up in a gaggle of cars and making no forward progress. They were racing 3 wide all around him. And it's Tony that ends up in the fence.
Now, Tony, he was one of those cars that pitted on that last caution.
I wonder if he had a problem, O'Leary, because he was kind of falling back. I don't see any right side tires down.
Battling Jeff Green.
Jeff Green just gets into him. That going into turn 3 here is a difficult place to go in there side by side, and here comes Blaney or Boyer, and he gets a piece of him.
And as he was sliding down the racetrack, a lot of other cars coming at him.
Stewart has brought that car back to the garage for repair.
You just see right here, Tony's going down in the corner with a 66 of Green's under him, and they just clip. They just touch. That's all it takes at 200 miles an hour. You just get real loose under somebody going into turn 3. When you got a car on the outside, it'll suck you right into it. Man, it's holy cow.
And that was not a light hit. Now, Stewart has been on the recovery trail from that shoulder injury a couple of weeks ago. We'll try to update that story for you. First, here's Steve.
And Dale Earnhardt in his pit stall, Mike, he said his car is a little bit free, but he likes that. He said the only place he needs help is from the center off of turn 2. Matt.
And later, Jeff Gordon in the top left of your screen. Air pressure adjustment for Gordon. The car just a little bit on the tight side. Meanwhile, Casey Kane, the very first pit stall on pit road, air pressure adjustment as well. His car was good, but needed to be a little bit better. Mike?
Looks like Jeff Gordon may have, or Casey Kane, won the race off pit road.
Look at Ryan Newman in that 12 car right there, gained 18th position. That tells me probably Matt Borland made the call. 2 right side tires only in fuel. Looks like about the top dozen cars stayed out, but that was cars that pitted at last caution. This is exactly what they were looking for.
Tell you one thing, they put a fast transmission in that 12 car, didn't they?
At 23 laps, how is Tony Stewart's car and how is Tony's shoulder? We'll find out when we come back.
We got to be more efficient.
Available on digital cable.
One to go at the line, one to go. Oh, Toronto with the call. 9 and the 24. You're in 12 spot right there, 12 spot.
All-new Dodge Caliber. It's anything but cute.
Hey, Tony. Sorry about spinning you out.
Pace car's in. Let's be ready. Be ready.
Road, he must feel like he's got a flat tire or something as we restart the race.
Hey, right side, guys, right side.
He should be able to get back out without losing a lap as we go green. And Kurt's younger brother Kyle leads Kevin Harvick, Casey Mears, and Jeremy Mayfield.
The blue wheels.
Steve?
Mike, they changed right side tires. Kurt said he just couldn't trust the fact of whether or not it was a flat, so to be safe, they changed the right sides.
But you're right, Mike. It's going to be close, but he should be able to stay on the lead lap, so certainly Kurt would love to see a caution right now.
Meanwhile, Tony Stewart has been under the front fender, wielding a sledgehammer and trying to help repair the damage to that Home Depot Chevy.
On the left-hand side of your screen, you see the battle pretty much back there, about in the area of 15th, 16th, 17th, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Vickers working their way back through the field. These were all cars that made a pit stop under that caution.
Right, with Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon just ahead.
Jeff Gordon's car today gets in the corner better than anybody out there. He can fly down in the corner. Now, he looks a little tight off, and that's hurting him, but his car is good getting in. And this is a good test for Jeff Gordon. Right here, we're on our first pit stop. This is when these guys seem to be able to, haven't been able to get the car where it needs to be.
You know, as we watch Kyle Busch, the 5 car, our leader, the only Hendrick car that did not qualify in the top 5, he's getting those 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Remember, he's 10th in the points. Darrell, you pointed out in the pre-race, 80 bonus points for Biffle. Those bonus points can be so important to these guys.
Boy, Larry, and I tell you, that 24 car must be handling pretty good. He split the 9 and the car was on the outside and went right around them.
And hey, the sun is out.
Where'd that come from?
Watch this, Larry. Watch him come off turn 2 over here. 40 car there, Strimmy on the outside, 9 on the inside, and Jeff says, make me room, boys. I'm coming through. I got a good car today.
Shows confidence he has in his race car.
One past champion moving up, another in the garage. Tony Stewart working on his car. Dick Berggren's there.
And you can pretty well be assured that his shoulder is okay, because Tony was wielding a very large, heavy hammer just moments ago. He is under the left front wheel of the car, working with various tools. The most difficult thing, though, is in the back. We have a frame machine. The back end of this car, the rear clip, is bent, and they're going to try to straighten that out as well. Major damage on Tony Stewart's number 20 car.
Yeah, they have got a lot of work to do. You cannot run the kind of speed you need to run here with that rear spoiler and deck lid in that configuration.
Stewart came in here 4th in the standings. Right now, he would drop at least 2 spots.
Now, let me tell you, it doesn't take many DNFs or finishes like he's going to have today to get you back there in jeopardy of not making that chase. Because you got so many good guys nibbling away at the top 10.
And we're halfway through the race to the chase to see who gets to run for the Nextel Cup, and there are no mulligans. Every race counts. Ooh, did Gordon get against the wall there?
All of a sudden, that car, it's doing exactly what it does every week. All of a sudden, just like he flipped the switch, it's taken off pushing, and he almost knocked the wall down off 2. He almost knocked it down off of 4.
Looking back from Casey Kane at Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, now he was one of the cars that stayed out on that last caution. Remember, it was not that many laps ago. He restarted back in 42nd.
Oh, we got a car
damage on pit road.
Somebody hit.
Turned around over there.
Yep, somebody hit.
Oh,
JJ
hard lick there.
Couple of them, Larry.
Hold on to it, bud. Hold on to it.
J.J. Yaley got hit by, I don't know who it was, but somebody just turned him.
Darrell, it looked like Yaley had to lift coming out of turn 2 because suddenly there was a car right on him and into his back bumper. Kenny Schrader and the Motorcraft Ford of the Wood brothers.
Let's see if we can see what happened back here. There's Yaley up on the outside, and he gets woed up right here behind the 4 car of Wimmer, I believe, and the 26 comes up the hill.
Boy, Robbie Gordon in the 7 just gets by, but Kenny Schrader in the 21 does not. Joe Nemechek in the 01.
What happened here? The 4 car kind of gets in JJ's way. He has to lift, and here comes the 26 car McMurray with nowhere to go but into him, and around he goes, and these guys, they're just along for the ride.
Let's ride with Kenny Schrader. This won't be any fun.
This ought to hurt. Listen to this.
Hold on to it, bud. Hold on to it.
Triple header.
You know, Scott Wimmer in the 4 car that checked up, he was one of those cars that stayed out on the last caution, had a little older tires, and just looked like he didn't have to grip some of these cars that had fresher tires had.
Looks like Joe may have come through that without just minor damage. He looks like his car's not too bad a shape. Joe Nemechek in the Army car.
Now here come all the cars that stayed out on the last caution. They're hitting pit road, Steve Burns.
Yeah, Todd Berrier's decision, Larry Mack, was it's so early in the race. Let's go ahead and work on that race car now. And Kevin agreed. He said, we're kind of in a tough spot here. They're a little bit loose, so they're going to make a wedge adjustment and change 4 tires, Matt Yoakum.
Kyle Busch, who pitted under the first caution, back on lap 11. Now, he had made up a number of spots, cycled up to the lead, but the car tight. Chassis adjustment and air pressure, 12.3 seconds for Busch. Mike?
So we have different agendas. on pit stop strategy very early in this race. And the hood is up on Matt Kenseth. Not sure if this is related to him running into Bill Lester on pit road or not.
I think what they did is on the last pit stop, on the last caution, they checked the toe out, which is basically the location of the front tires that helps the drivability of that car, especially into the corner. They determined how much it was off. Now under this caution, it looks like the guy leaning over in the hood, he's actually taking that tie rod and he's adjusting the toe out.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, and sponsored by Visa. Go on, live life, and
as you saw Jeff Green and Matt Kenseth. Now Jeff Gordon, I guess not too happy with his Hendrick Motorsports teammate right behind him, the Lowe's Chevy of Jimmy Johnson. They were doing a lot of side-by-side racing after that last restart, maybe more than you would expect from teammates.
Jimmy, if you want to race like this all day long, I'll take it all day long, buddy. I thought we were teammates. Let's race to get to the front. Now let's get 3 wider a chance we get.
Matt? Get back there in a minute. There's Chad Knaus, Jimmy's crew chief. I saw on that last restart, Darrell, they were 3 wide all down the front straightaway, not 1 lap, but at least 2 in a row.
But you know what? I agree, but I don't understand. You know, everybody's out there racing, and Jimmy Johnson's car is faster than Jeff Gordon's. So Jeff, if you don't want to race side by side, 3 wide, why don't you slow down?
They're teammates, but don't you have to race them just like every other car?
Sure, and what happened here, he ought to be mad at the 96 Tony Raines, because Tony held him up and allowed Jimmy to get underneath of him and make the pass. He and Casey Kane both. So Jeff's the one that I understand. Jeff's frustrated a little bit maybe, but if you don't want to race like that, dude, get behind me.
I have a real problem with drivers that get upset because someone's racing you.
That's the whole point. You're here to race.
If you're up there running 1 and 2 and you're driving away from the field, different story. They're in the middle of the pack racing other cars.
Yeah, they're not out there by themselves. This ain't no picnic. We're not on a Sunday drive. We're racing.
Maybe the point trying to be made is if we were single file, we'd be faster than if we're trying to beat each other's fenders in.
If it was only the 2 of them, I could see his point.
Casey Kane leading Jeff Gordon as we go back to green and complete 35 laps.
Now the top 15 cars, all the way from Casey Kane back to Kevin LePage in the 49, they stayed out on this caution.
I tell you who's worried right now. It ought to be J.D. Gibbs. He's only got 1 bullet left.
And that's Denny Hamlin in the 11
back there in 8th place, just out of our frame. Here's Jeff going for the lead. And he does have a fast car. And I'm thinking he's probably more excited than he is upset. Man, I want to run good today, and I am.
If my driver's going to be frustrated about something, that's what I want it to be.
All right. And you know what? The other thing is, giving Jeff Gordon all the credit in the world, he's excited and he wants to run good.
Tell you what, there on the left, you see another Chevrolet coming into the picture. Jeff Burton in that 31 car up there battling Casey Kane and Jimmy Johnson. That's a battle for the 4th position.
Hey, Larry, guess where the last time it was they run that 31 car? Bristol, Tennessee.
It has a new body.
It has a new body on it, but it's the Bristol car.
Junior gets passed on the inside, gets past Burton, that is. Vickers right there with them. You know, we talked at the top of the show about long green runs. That's the one thing we've not had yet today.
And you know, I know it's early, 36 laps into this race. We've been talking all weekend, the stranglehold that Dodge and Ford has had on this racetrack. Right now, 6 of the top 7 are all the bow ties, the Chevrolets. Casey Kane, the only Dodge in the top 7 right now.
The last Chevrolet to win here is that one right there.
Man lead, 2001.
I tell you, that 9 car, now he got some smoke under the hood. That thing goes down the straightaway about as good as anything I've ever seen.
You mentioned Joe Gibbs with 2 cars in the garage. Let's find out about J.J. Yaley's. Here's Steve.
Mike, J.J. Yaley's still in his race car, but there is heavy damage to the front end. They've got the portable power tools out, the Sawzall. They're trying to ripping the nose off as we speak, and there's substantial damage to the radiator. They're going to have to replace that. And J.D. Gibbs standing by looking on as the team brings in a backup radiator.
Thanks, Steve. Their remaining car on track is Denny Hamlin, last week's winner, in 7th.
This interstate's got a lot of lanes on it, doesn't it? These cats.
Oh, yes.
Look at them. They're high, they're low, they're in the middle. That's why the drivers love this racetrack. You got options. You're not stuck behind somebody.
I know we're seeing a little single file racing right here, but just a little ways behind this group. This is not single file. Remember,
No.
This is a lot of the cars that pitted on the last caution, like Kyle Busch in the 5 car, Elliott Sadler in the 38. This is pretty much a battle basically from about 21st on back.
Look at this thing go, Larry. Look at him.
Turn 2, you mentioned it earlier. That's where he's got him.
He comes off of turn 2 like he hits an afterburner.
But then Jeff Gordon seems to be able to really drive it into turn 3, and the thing sticks because he runs it up the racetrack. Then he wins the battle off turn 4.
Behind them, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been up there in the Richard Petty groove, running just inches from the wall all the way around the corner.
And of course, with some momentum, we talk about momentum. Casey has the momentum off of turn 2. Jeff has the momentum off of turn 4. And 2 totally different turns. 2 is tight. Right there where the 9 is right now, that's a tight corner. Come off of turn 4, it's a sweeper. You can let the car run out. Turn 2 would be more complementary to a fairly loose car. Turn 4 would be a little more complementary to a tight car.
Jeff Gordon, your leader at 41 laps from Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jr.
Fucking 240, 240. I try to get close to him. I can't get it off, whatever it is.
That's 4, man. Keep trying. Keep a close eye on it. Still out there, all by himself. They're behind him. Yeah, it hadn't come off yet. Just be calm and just keep working on it. Try to get as close as you can to him. Get it off. Alright, probably going to need to pit and get it off. We'd be the only car a lap down if we do it. Get ready for four tires and fuel. Got a big cloud coming over the top of turn 2, but I don't see any moisture with it. Still out there on the top. At your door. In the middle, at your door. Still on there, just don't burn it up. It's over 250. We're probably going to need a pit. 252. Yeah, we need to get it off before we push all the water out of it. Coming this time, guys. 4,700, second gear, 4-7.
On the grill, you can see it right there. He has a piece of plastic. This place is notorious for that with the wind blowing around.
And it takes so very, they run the openings in minimum amount.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. moves past Jimmy Johnson to take over second behind Jeff Gordon. Here comes the pole sitter to his pit, Matt.
And they're also going to make a chassis adjustment now since they are on pit road, losing this track position. You can see the crew member make the adjustment. Clouds coming back over. You can feel the temperature dropping again as teams racing to the halfway point, and everything else is bonus. But the water temperature had climbed over 250 degrees for the pole sitter. 16.8 seconds for the Dodge boys.
And the problem with Casey Kane having to make this unscheduled stop, we've got cars out there that can go about 30 more laps on fuel. So obviously what Casey Kane, the 9 group, Kenny Francis needs, they need this thing to go green for a while, and hopefully they can recover from this.
Next week, something completely different. We're at Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California, on the road race course. But for now, the 2-mile super speedway at Michigan. Jeff Gordon, who started outside pole, having it his own way. A second and a half up on Dale Jr. Here's the race for 7th place. Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin.
Cousin Carl, he's been working his way to the front ever since the drop of the green flag. 3 starts here, all top 10 finishes. In fact, he's made his very first career start here in August of 2004. Always runs well here, just didn't get that good qualifying lap in. His car was real loose.
Yeah, he failed to launch last night, Larry. They dropped the green flag and something happened to the gearbox and he didn't go anywhere. So he had a rough night last night. He's working much better today.
Now I want to add to what I said about Casey Kane in the 9 car needing this thing to go a long green run. There's a fine line there. Right now he's the only car a lap down. If he gets the caution, he gets the free pass. But if we have a long green run and our leaders start lapping other cars, he could indeed not be the first car lap down if we get a caution. So maybe they would be better to go ahead and get a caution now.
Well, the leader is coming off turn 2 now, and the next car is anywhere near getting lapped is coming off turn 4, almost a half lap. So he's going to be in the catbird seat for a while.
Right now we still have 37 cars on the lead lap. The only car that's officially retired, Derek Cope in the 74 car. J.J. Elley, Kenny Schrader, Tony Stewart's car is in the garage trying to get repaired and back out on the racetrack.
Plus the other thing, Larry, that 9 car now has 4 fresh tires. He may, more likely, will chase down Jeff Gordon and get by him under green.
His lap times, Darrell, about 0.7 of a second quicker than Jeff Gordon on worn tires right now. Clint Boyer spent some time in the garage, but he's back on track in his 07, though 26 laps down.
Outside on the very top, at your door, clear. We're the only car lap down right now, and the leader is still about half a lap from lapping some.
Coming to the yellow for range, coming to the yellow for range. It's real good in and off now. A little snug in the center, just a touch and right dead center of the slide on the nose. Okay, 10-4.
Drive hard, eat fresh.
Okay, this one's for time, Dale. Here we go.
When we're passing cars here, you let me know getting in if they're on beside me. Big deal right now. 10-4. Pit road's open this time for the speed lap. .4650, 4650, second gear. 24, keep on going, June. You got him, Tony Jr.
10-4, 10 away. Come left right here. 5 away. Come on. Come on. Right there. Go, 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 go. Clear to the wall. Go, go, go.
650 all.
Third, now Gordon needed help both on entry and exit. Track bar to help the entrance, which was too tight. Air pressure to help the exit, which was too loose. Also an air pressure adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. He was loose all the way through the corner. Chris Myers?
All right, time for a quick Visa race break. You know, we had a 45-minute delay before they got things rolling here in Michigan. Adam Sandler, the Grand Marshal and the official starter. On the pole, Casey Kane, who led 6 laps. He was passed early by Jeff Gordon, who has led the most laps in this race. But let's look at Matt Kenseth, who came into this race closing second in points. Multiple pit stops. He had a brush with Bill Lester, who had damage to his car. Kenseth fell 20 spots, but is trying to work his way back up. Two-time NASCAR champ, Tony Stewart, clipped here by Jeff Green in the 66 car, putting him behind the wall, and Tony steamed. That broken shoulder blade okay compared to Stewart's car, trying to get back in the race. Moments ago, Casey Kane was running second, lap 47. Problems on the grill, had to pit, but just got the lucky pass, Jeff Hammond, and this has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa. Jeff Gordon, currently your leader, will be back at Michigan International Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Pace cars off.
Speed wasn't entitled to retain the spot. Net result, Kyle gets 5 bonus points. Elliott does not.
And why 5 bonus points is important to both those guys, 2 completely different agendas. The 45's trying to stay in the top 35. The 38's trying to get towards the top 10. 2 different agendas for leading that lap.
Turn 2, Dale Jr. hunting the lead on Jeff Gordon.
Junebug's on it, baby. He said he liked that old car yesterday. Don't do anything to it. But now watch Gordon. He gets in the corner so well. Golly, that car will get down into the corner.
Especially turn 3 and 4.
But June's got a little horsepower today. He's going to drive right under him.
And you don't think these fans are on their feet? Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the two drivers missed the chase last year side by side. There's no one sitting down here.
Two of the most popular athletes in the country. In
That's
all
right.
sports.
Junior was just on some major list of the top 5 athletes in the United States.
Harris pole, and so was Jeff Gordon.
Junior gives Gordon a wave, and it may be a wave by Bond. Steve?
And Mike, if we get one lap past halfway, this race is official. Listen to what Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief, Tony Eury Jr., told Dale Jr. under caution.
Just so you know, Dale Jr., the big storm is probably an hour and a half out. We run an hour and a half, so you're looking at 55 laps right here because the rain's the first part of the race. So you got to hit them on what that is. When that weather gets here, it'll probably be down for quite a while.
What's the laps on this race?
200, so we got to get to lap 100 to make it a race. But just kind of giving you a heads up for what's around the corner, what might happen. I'll let you know later on. The weather changes drastically or anything.
Alrighty.
And what's ironic is halfway is lap 100. That pit stop these guys just made was lap 55. They can go right to lap 100 should we not get a caution, but they have to pit on the green.
After restarts here, this track is so wide, things get really exciting for a few laps. Watch this, turn 2.
I tell you, that 9 car, Larry, he is on a mission to get back to the front. That's him up on the high side. Watch this. He doesn't, I mean, he's in no man's land. If somebody pushes up a little bit, he's in trouble. 4 wide, and he gasses right by him, and they all say, where'd he come from?
Meanwhile, back up front, Jeff Gordon wants the lead once again.
And I get the feeling, as good as his car is, if he wants it, he'll probably take it eventually.
Yeah, that could have been, you know, looking at that pass and the other one, that's almost like a trade-off. I'll lead a lap. Let me lead a lap, and I'll let you back in front of me.
7th, 8th, and 9th here. Hamlin upside of Kevin Harvick in the 29.
But then on the other hand, maybe not.
You know what? These guys are having fun. They have not had a chance to do this a lot in the last year and a half.
That's right. Jeff just sail it off in there on the high side.
Well, a corner has 3 parts, and that 24 car's got 2 of them down pretty pat right now.
But I'm going to tell you what, while these guys are going at it, remember what Jeff Gordon was so mad at his teammate about a little while ago. While this is going on, his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, as well as Carl Edwards in the 99, are getting closer and closer. There they are right there.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst thing you can do is run side by side for a prolonged period of time, because it definitely slows you down by about a second. Guys behind you get a little draft, and they come right up to you.
Jeff Gordon got the message, and he drops in front of Dale Jr. They're going to try to create a little distance. A further note on the Elliott Sadler situation. He had faked toward pit road under caution and gone to pit road and then swerved back out. And for that reason, NASCAR judged that he did not maintain pace car speed and position. And that's why Kyle Petty was the leader of that lap under caution and not Elliott Sadler.
And I think more so than a fake, Mike, it was all of a sudden realizing, hey, if we stay out, we might can lead 5 points. Lead a lap and get 5 points.
Third place changes hands as Carl Edwards marches toward the front in that Roush Ford.
Yeah, I'd say that Chevy Brigade has got a Ford in the future.
Little spoiler.
Dale Jr. has dropped into second, and he's losing a bit of ground to Jeff Gordon. Steve?
He is, Mike. He just told crew chief Tony Eury Jr., I'm rolling over on the right front, and I don't like it.
Now what he means is, and that just got that feeling that you know you're using up that right front tire, and you don't want to do that at 200 miles an hour.
Carl Edwards, the 99 car, gets a run off turn 2. He's going to complete the pass at the end of the backstretch. And now Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car will pull right up on the rear bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 that we're riding with.
And that's how quickly it happens, Mike, Larry. In one turn, your car all of a sudden gets a feel in it that you do not like, and you know what it is. And there's only one cure, and that's to slow down a little bit until we can do something about it.
So Junior fades from the lead to 4th place. Next car behind him is Biffle and then Jeff Burton.
Oh, got a car around off of turn 2, guys. Turn 2.
Is that Kenseth? It is.
Just got sucked around over there. Don't think anybody got into him.
Caution is out.
4 tires, brother.
Hey, just routine. Spun out 4 tires.
4 tires, guys. I see it. 4 tires.
On the inside of is that Scott Riggs, who will wiggle there going around the outside. Here's Matt in the middle.
I think he just gets in there where it just sucks the back of the car around. Tony Raines in a 96.
Why, Darrell? What does that?
It's side draft. The air off the car that you're trying to pass is coming over and getting a hold of your car and trying to pull it into that outside car, and it just takes the air off your spoiler and pulls you around as it does it.
And I know, as apprehensive as we are about the car tomorrow, Darrell had a long talk with Brett Bodine this morning, who drives the pace car, who did a lot of the development work of the car tomorrow. He said that's one thing that car really has a lot of, is the side force that you don't lose because of that wing when you get beside a car like that.
Today.
There will be a free pass. It is Clint Boyer. He will go from being 30 laps down to only 29 as the free pass is awarded to the first lapped car in the running order. That is Boyer.
But you got to admit that if you're 30 laps down, at least something good happens.
Yeah, 29 looks good.
I'm only 29 down now.
You're seeing Steve Letarte right there. I think what Steve is doing, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, he was almost looking down at Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, Chad Cannell, saying, what are you going to do? I think since it's been 12 laps since these guys were on pit road, you're going to see them coming as they are, but I think you'll see a lot of 2-tire stops here. Dick Berger, maybe even some fuel only.
Well, they were talking about a 2-tire stop for Jeff Burton, who 4 laps ago keyed the radio and simply told his crew 3 octaves up to Steve.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to get just right side tires. They want half a pound on the right rear.
Hand signals back and forth between the 24 and 48 case. Letarte told Canals they were going to go with 4 tires. Chassis adjustment already for Gordon. They continue working on the balance of his car. Jimmy Johnson, his car was way too tight on exit. 48, close battle off pit road with his teammate Mike Joy.
And I believe, Matt, 2 of the Ganassi cars may have gambled on 2 tires. Casey Mears and Reed Sorensen out there with that lead pack.
And you can see it right there. Reed Sorensen, the 41 car, Casey Mears in the 42. How quick their time is, that shows they did a little less than the other teams.
A lot of different strategies in play.
This time, passing to the right only. Is everything ready? .45 in your mirror on the start. Green flag. And line behind you. Side, down on the line, alongside, on the line. Left rear. Clear.
A lot of 3-wide racing as Jimmy Johnson tries to come through. Bobby Labonte's been strong today. And Casey Kane, the pole sitter, on the comeback. Kevin Harvick at 12th place.
One car we need to make a note of had been in the top 10 most of this race. Kyle Busch in the 5 on that last pit stop. Too fast exiting, speeding, tailing the longest line. Restarted in 37th. He has now worked his way up 5 positions to 32nd.
New face up front, the Biff. Greg Biffle in that Jack Roush Ford, winner of, what, 2 of the last 3 races here. And look where he has moved in the points since the drop of the green flag. As Denny Hamlin backs up a spot and Kyle Busch falls back 2 positions based on his position at the moment. Now multiple pit stops for Matt Kenseth, who now sits a lap down. Steve?
Yeah, Mike, it's been a rough day for the former Nextel Cup champion. He was trying to avoid Tony Raines and felt like Raines wasn't giving him enough room. He actually, the 17 of Matt Kenseth, ran into the 12 of Ryan Newman, making contact. That's what caused him to spin out. Matt?
Polling a number of different crew chiefs this morning, Steve, they all pointed to the 16 of Greg Biffle as the car that would be the rabbit today. The guy they expected to jump out front, and they were all going to have to chase, judging by the lap tracker system that all the teams use to gauge where their car is over a number of laps during final practice. Now they haven't had a lot of long runs, and that's where Biffle's car was so stout in final practice. They've been tweaking it with air pressure, hoping for what we are starting to have now. Looks like a long run.
Thanks, Matt.
You see his crew chief, Doug Richard, there. When he won here in August of 2004, that's about the time that Doug Richard came on board. That's when this group, I think, made their statement. You know what? We're going to go up there, and we're going to be championship contenders.
Yeah, he's had 2 wins in the last 3 races here. It'd be pretty hard to bet against him. He obviously knows something about this place.
Right now, Biffle holds a lead of 0.6 of a second over Dale Jr., and that lead is growing.
NASCAR Nextel Cup race.
No clear.
Caution, they were cars that elected to go with 2 right side tires, not that many laps on the tires to begin with, and get their cars out there in that clean air, and it's working right now.
And that is what the manufacturers came to see. A a Chevy-Ford battle. And if you're a Chevy team with a lot of support, leading at Michigan is a big deal. If you're a Ford team, any other teams, but leading here in front of all the execs.
They were a dead tie across the start-finish line that time. Greg Biffle, Dale Earnhardt Jr., difference, delta in their lap right then, 0.000. Dead heat.
Trouble for Tony Raines in the DLP HDTV car.
He's got a flat left rear tire, and you can see it's ripped the quarter panel off.
And that brings out a caution. It's the 7th one today. There's why.
And I think that was definitely a caution that Matt Kenseth in the 17 was looking for. The only car a lap down, he'll now get the free pass. He'll be back on the lead lap. That will put 38 cars on the lead lap, just 20 laps shy of halfway.
It's incredible how Kenseth's days can go. Some days it's just out there and you don't know he's there and he ends up in the top 3 or 4. Today he's been in a lot of trouble.
Here's a team that's coming off its best finish of the season, 16th. Tough break.
Guys, when he gets in here, just do left. The right sides are up, right?
And the reason Felipe Lopez, the crew chief, is saying that right now, Tony Raines is still on the lead lap. So if they can get on the pit road, just get the left side tires changed where he can get back out there and get caught up, then they couldn't come back and change right. But most importantly, fix that damage, especially you see on the left front.
Sir, just get the left side.
And he should easily be able to do this because the field's just now in turn 3.
Hope they got a flat tire jack handy.
Get up, guys.
That's the way it's supposed to work right there.
Roger.
Pace car between turns 3 and 4. They'll have plenty of time.
Okay, go.
And Raines will stay on the lead lap and then come back in to get his right side tires. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the leader, second time he's led today for a total of 4 laps. And like the Pied Piper, he's going to bring everyone but Brian Vickers onto pit road. Dick?
Well, the 31 car, Jeff Burton, has a piece of trash on the grill. That was a concern of theirs. They're going to put 4 tires on it this time. Last time they pitted, they just took 2 tires. So a bit of a different strategy. Steve.
Dick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in. Last time they just took right side tires. This time, 4 tires for the Budweiser Chevy. Jr. said the car had gotten a little bit tight with just 2 tires. Matt.
19 laps on the left side tires for Biffle. You can see them making the chassis adjustment. He says he's almost wrecking down in turns 1 and 2. The 41 of Sorensen's away. Air pressure adjusted for the 99 of Edwards. His car had been tight, and the 48 beats everybody off pit road. Mike?
One of Dale Jarrett's crewmen with a slight limp after getting brushed back by Reed Sorensen, the target car leaving the pit right behind Jarrett. Brian Vickers stays on track and does not pit, nor does Mike Skinner. Everyone else on the lead lap has been to pit road.
Somebody else talk to me.
That'll hit the left to go. Got a second shark walking high out front. A couple of them here.
Dale.
It's funny how you remember what your dad always said.
Shock. Brett and Dave, pull the hood pins. Kirk, you're going to make sure that rubber's tight and good. We're going to close up the right front shock. Yep. Then we'll hit the gas and go.
One to go, this time, one to go.
Now, the left rear shock and the gas. Open up the left rear adjuster, hit the gas, and then we'll go.
Chris, I'll turn the wheel far to the left if you want to get the right front there.
Yeah, I just don't want to do that with one to go. Let's just get this quick stuff done in the back. We've also got that rubber in the right front we haven't run yet.
Here we come, hustle into the line here. 4400 now.
And then let's start in. Good, you're good. You're all good. Watch your speed.
Pace cars in 2. 4400. Coming to the green. Coming to the green this time. Passing to the right line.
On his tires, and he's got a bunch of good race cars behind him. The one thing he will have going for him, at least when we get the restart, is clean air. We've seen what clean air can do, but that's a tall order with some good race cars like behind him.
Boy, that car sure looks a lot better than it did last time we saw it on the racetrack.
Tony Stewart is back on track. He is 61 laps down.
I don't believe it's going to take long for these guys to kind of just smoke on by the number 25 car.
If anything, the sky to the south is looking lighter, not darker. So we'll see how this plays out. We're 16 laps to halfway, 116 to the finish, as Jeff Gordon gets alongside of Casey Kane, and Johnson wants the lead from his teammate.
See, the 25 is playing the weather card, but he's playing it with old tires. These guys are playing the weather card with new tires. They're going to get out there. They want to go too because they know the rain may be nearby.
If Brian had had a few friends that stayed out with him, could have been a different story, but all these guys behind him, like Johnson, Biffle, and now Carl Edwards in the 99, they have a lot fresher tires than Brian Vickers.
I think one of the things that's encouraging in creating some of these stay-out situations, though, is this a much harder tire than we've had here in the past. It's a little more durable. It'll do better on a long run, and it'll last a little bit longer.
There you see Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, one of our rookies up there in the 7th position. But look at Casey Kane in the 9. Less than 40 laps ago, he was on pit road under green, a lap down. Here he is back in the top 10. Speaking of the Ganassi cars right behind Jeff Gordon, you see Casey Mears in that 42 car up there in the top 10.
Casey Mears will move on. Next season, he'll drive the Hendrick number 25. The car that right now leads this race from Carl Edwards.
You've got to love this racetrack. To only have 18 degrees of banking right from the drop of the green flag. Look at the different grooves these guys are running off the corner and down the straightaway.
Biffle had to get out of the gas a little bit. He started to push. When he did, Junior went by on the outside and Jeff Burton went by on the inside.
Well, that was a big 3-wide. That was a sandwich worthy of some wood right there. Burton still on the bottom and still coming. Sorensen and Gordon right behind him. And Casey Kane right behind them.
That's what I talk about this track being a little aggravating. You got a fast car, but you get amongst these other cars, it's hard to pass. It's hard to get away from them. Sometimes you get held up forever.
Let's get a little update on some of this mid-race strategy as during the caution we listened in to Jimmy Johnson's team.
miles away. If you hold off until the green comes, we win. 10-4.
To hold them off, he's going to have to get past Vickers and Carl Edwards, who wants the lead out of 4.
And Carl Edwards in the 99, he's been so much better through the middle of the corner than Brian Vickers in the 25, so he's going to take the lead here, just 12 laps shy of halfway. But we talked about it at the top of the show. Key to winning this race, chasing the weather, and that's what a lot of these guys are doing right now.
Two big factors as we watch Sorensen try to deal with the 29 of Harvick, the 9 of Kane, and the 42 of his teammate Casey Mears. One is the rain, and the other is daylight. Central Michigan is on the western end of the Eastern time zone. It is light here till about 9:45 at night. So even if the sky opens up, they won't be very quick to pull the plug.
Boy, the sky opened up right there for the 9 car. He got to run on the outside, and man, he squeezed between the wall and Casey. Reed Sorensen there and shot by them both. That 9 car, Larry, is coming back to the front with a vengeance.
And what a weekend they've had. Sat on the pole on Friday, hit the wall in practice yesterday, major repairs to this car. This is the same car he has won those other 3 races with this year. Overheating there about 40-45 laps ago. Now he's back into the top 10, trying to march back to the front. Casey Kane in the 9.
You know, thus far, his day isn't all that different from that of Denny Hamlin 1 week ago at Pocono. Hamlin led 49 of the first 50 laps, cut a tire, spun to the infield, and had a lot of ground to make up. Did, and won the race. Kane's our leading Dodge Charger in the race. Mears and Sorensen close behind.
And what he's been working on, what they've been trying to help him with, is trying to get him to where he's a little better in 3 and 4. He seems to be excellent exiting turn 2. He loses a little ground to most of these guys down here, but they look like they've really helped him because he's looking to the outside of Jeff Burton. Is he going to be able to squeeze in there? Makes it.
Still out there.
And that was literally the outside. There was no more asphalt up there. It was wall.
He's made a couple of passes like that, kind of raised the hair up on your neck. How about it, Dick? What they say about Burton?
No rear grip. No rear grip on car 31.
And obviously what that means is when he puts the throttle down, goes through the corner, the rear is wanting to slide around and be loose with him. And cousin Carl in this 99 car, Carl Edwards, he has checked out to a 1 1/4 second lead over Brian Vickers in the 25 car.
Carl's making up for last night, Larry. He had a bad night last night. First car out of the race. He want to do some racing.
Remember half a dozen or so.
Down there to get me in, but pretty good by myself.
Remember half a dozen or so years ago when Jeff Burton was Rain Man? And every time it was like Mother Nature was his biggest fan. Every time it would rain, Burton would win.
Watching these two teammates, Brian Vickers in the 25, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. Right now these guys are battling for the 3rd position, but I've been keeping an eye on their other teammate, Kyle Busch in the 5 car. Remember, when we restarted back on lap 70, he had to restart at the tail end of the longest line because of speeding. He has now made his way all the way back up to the 17th position. He just went by Mark Martin in the 6th, so he's on his way back to the front. Just drives by Ryan Newman in the 12 as well.
And watching Kyle, he spent most of his day just like that, running right down against the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. Hasn't much ventured up and tried the upper grooves. 3rd place. Biffle makes the pass. Carl Edwards out in front as we're 6 laps from halfway in Michigan. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Nobody else is really coming back there, June Bug. You're about a second 2/10 back there behind him. Still clear. Inside.
No. Okay. I do not turn here good enough, and my rear brake stopped.
Got it.
Clear.
Is sponsored by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. By Mobile Clean 5000, the official lubricants of NASCAR. It's seriously tough oil. By DLP Picture Technology from Texas Instruments. And by Coca-Cola. Thanks for drinking. Over Greg Biffle, we're nearing the halfway point. Lap 100, going 400 miles here in Michigan. NASCAR on Fox, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there watching. And for Jeff Gordon, who is coming off the hardest wreck of his career, he passed the pole sitter Casey Kane. Gordon's led the most laps today at 50. Casey Kane running second. Jeff had some problems, debris on the grill.
Yeah, he had to stop early because the car was overheating, but because of all that debris you see right underneath the nose on that Charger.
He was a lap down, but now has worked his way back up to fifth. And how about this? Lap 60, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car taking the lead from Jeff Gordon, two of the most recognized names in sports. They traded first place for a while. Matt Kenseth, lap 67, spins out from 40th to 18th. Remember, he came in second in points, has had an up and down day. Quite a few problems. But right now, the Roush Fords, Jeff, are leading the way. And Casey Kane, as we said, up to fifth, working his way back towards the front, passing Jimmy Johnson.
Looks like right now he's going to go to fourth, Chris, and he goes on the high side one more time. He likes the rim ride around this racetrack, and his car's working really well up high.
Worth mentioning that Tony Stewart, way back on lap 22, clipped by Jeff Green, still out of the race. He came in fourth in points. We've had 7 cautions. The record for this racetrack is 9. Some of that probably caused by the rain delay, the slick track. As we get a look at the aggressive driving and the way the points look to the moment.
Well, to the moment, we still see Jimmy Johnson out front. Matt Kenseth still lost a little bit of ground to him, but he's still hanging there in second place. But you'll notice Casey Kane is up to third, and Tony Stewart is falling completely out of the top 5.
He has just come back on the track, I should say, repairing his car, and we are officially halfway in this race. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
That produces a sigh of relief all up and down pit road that we'll get this race in today. It's a long haul to California, out north of San Francisco to Sonoma next week. Greg Biffle, the fastest car on the racetrack. He is about 2/10 quicker than Carl Edwards. Matt?
Back on lap 95, Mike, Greg Biffle keyed his mic and told his spotter Joel Edmonds, he says, school is about to be in session. He's knocked off about 1 second the distance between himself and his teammate Carl Edwards. Now, Edwards' spotter, Bobby Hudson, is telling Carl exactly where Biffle is running and catching him on the racetrack. So Carl can try to adjust his line to Biffle.
That last lap, Biffle was about 1/10 of a second quicker. The previous lap, 2/10 faster.
I know we're watching Greg Biffle here in the 16 car running second, but this right here, I've been watching this battle. This is a battle for 10th. Jeff Burton in the 31, Kurt Busch in the 2. Remember, Kurt Busch back on lap 25, as the field took the green for a restart, had a flat tire. He was all the way back in 40th position. Darrell, you and I have been watching this car. He just keeps getting better and better, and he's pretty good on long runs.
Yeah, he is. That's a whale of an improvement. They put that old magic spring rubber in the left rear, sound like, and that tightened him up. And the way to the races he went. And there's my buddy there in the old. He's feeling his Cheerios today. Go, Bobby. Bobby Labonte in the 43 car, the Petty car.
Yeah, he's been a top dozen car all day long.
Been quietly hanging around there in the top 12.
He's been good all weekend long, though. Good in practice. Remember, he started this race up in the 5th position. Here he is battling Kurt Busch in the 2 for the 11th position.
There's a little racing going on here.
8th place. Harvick inside of the car that did not stop on the last caution, Brian Vickers.
And the problem, Darrell, with Brian Vickers in the 25, he's only about 8 or 9 laps away from having to make a green flag stop because he did stay out.
Yeah, those older tires are going to prevail for a little while against the new ones, but once they go away, you're in big trouble.
The way I see it, Vickers should have to pit somewhere around lap 113 to 115. Everyone else that pitted on lap 81, they should be able to go somewhere between 126, 128, 129 right in there.
Kurt Busch continues moving toward the front. He just took 10th away from Jeff
Crossover
Burton.
move right there. Kurt slid up in front of Jeff, and Jeff cut back under him.
And let's go to Jeff Burton's pit, Dick.
Well, Jeff Burton's car was really good at the very beginning of this race, Mike. Not so good right now. He's told the crew that the car is very inconsistent. The biggest description he has had, the most clear description is it's free in, then it goes tight, then the back end won't bite, tries to slide around coming off the corner. So lots of problems with Jeff Burton's car. They're going to need to make a bunch of adjustments on the next pit stop to fix it. Steve.
Well, Dick, following the 2 car of Kurt Busch, you see the 43 battle between the 41 and the 31. Kurt Busch's concern right now is that he's running a little bit hot. He's asked the crew to clean the grill the next time they stop, just a little bit hot on the 2 car.
And remember, that's what happened to Casey Kane in the 9 car. You heard Chris Myers just talking about it a while ago. Got paper on that grill. The wind's picking up. We're getting a report of that, and it really starts blowing a lot of debris around this racetrack, and the place it ends up is on the noses of these cars.
The funny thing, Larry, is that wasn't stuck to Kane's grill, because as the car rolled to a halt, all those wrappers fell off. Of course, they won't fall off at 190 miles an hour.
No, not unless he can get that nose right up against the car in front of him, and then it'll take the air off the nose and it'll fall off.
Carl Edwards in the 99 car, he's up here still leading this thing, and Matt, he has almost a 2.5 lead over his teammate Greg Biffle in the 16.
See the raindrops, Carl.
Uh-oh. Still green. Matt?
And you heard his spotter and weatherman Bobby Hudson telling him, keeping him abreast of the weather, and we are starting to feel some raindrops. His car has settled in. He's trying to run the exact same line down in 1 and 2 as Biffle, because they felt like that's where he was losing most of his time to the 16 of Biffle. They were even down in 3 and 4.
And I'm sure as we're feeling those raindrops, the guy that's just beating his leg right now, Lance McGrew, crew chief for Brian Vickers, back there in the 9th position. Remember, he stayed out because of anticipating rain, but as we just mentioned, probably 5 to 7 laps till he'll have to make a green flag stop.
You just can't take a chance. NASCAR can't. Once enough drivers start to complain, we got to have a yellow, because with all the oil and as slick as a track can be with a little water on it, you're in big trouble.
What usually happens is the lead driver radios, it's raining, it's raining. The second place driver goes, no, it's fine, at least until I catch him.
Well, you take a poll, and you know, they're pretty smart over there. They know the ones that they can believe and the ones they don't need to listen to.
A piece of rubber debris blew up, car ran over it, and got it out of harm's way. Looked like just a piece of tape or tire.
But I think about everybody in the field just about hit this piece of debris.
Well, it's just a wad of rubber is what it is. You run over that stuff sometime and gets a big wad of it built up in the fender well of the car, and it'll fall out.
Caution is out now. Debris in turn 4 and in turn 1. And Kyle Petty, left rear tire down. That's part of that debris.
Come down pit road if you have to. We'll do left sides only if you do.
And the sigh of relief is from Lance McGrew and Brian Vickers, about 5 laps away from having to make a green flag pit stop.
Trouble for Kyle Petty puts us under caution for the 8th time today.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AOL, is sponsored.
I don't think it does. I think it's going to blow off of turn 2. I don't think it's going to hit us, or blow off of turn 4. One down, right rear. Also, if I just get to rotate better to center, not make too loose off. Cody, I'm one down in the right rear. Four tires, guys. Make it a good one. Stuff's right on the other side of that grandstand. You see it. Get more down and get some water. Pit road's open. Open.
You're not the only one who depends on.
The 8's going to peel off right here in the second cage. Right around 2, 1, wheel straight, foot on the brake.
Control kills germs for.
Straight out, straight out, straight out, straight out.
Went through more than one solenoid.
I couldn't tell, man. I think you're about in the 99. I couldn't tell it.
Not pitted. He remains out on track. Edwards, Earnhardt Jr., Biffle, and Kane.
Saw most of the leaders go with just 4 tires here, and I think the reason, if we shouldn't fight weather, this pit stop here will put them within 1 stop of making it to the end. I think that's the reason almost everyone, except for Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, you can see gained 11 position, won the battle off pit road, went with 2 tires on that car.
Let's update those pit stops, beginning with Matt.
Greg Biffle has won 2 of the last 3 races here at MIS, made an air pressure adjustment, fighting a grip issue, needing more grip, just like his teammate Carl Edwards, who's never finished out of the top 10 here, looking for another good run. To Steve Burns.
Thank you, Matt. Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying he just wanted to rotate better turn better through the center of the corner. So they made an air pressure adjustment. They put half a pound in the right front and took a round of bite out of the right rear. Dick?
Well, I'm working up near turn 4, and I got to tell you, it's nice here. We haven't felt any rain at all for a very long time. Car 31, Burton, came in. They made a wedge adjustment to that car, fired 4 at it, put fuel in it, made some air pressure adjustments in the 4 tires. Let's go up to Mike.
Thanks to Kevin LePage, stayed out on track to lead a lap. He becomes the 9th different leader on the day. As we'll go down to Jeff Hammond for a State Farm safety report.
We're always talking about how we protect the drivers. You know, fire suits, roll cages. Well, what about protecting the engine? Let's take a look here. Filters, oil filters that happen to circulate through the oil system and keep all the little debris out of the inside of the engine, or even an air filter, all the air that comes in through down into the carburetor, the dust and debris off the racetrack that can damage the inside of the cylinders or whatever. These air filters, just like you'd find on your passenger car, help protect these racing engines. Again, the inside of an oil filter, where all the debris, as it comes through the circulation of the oil, it can filter out the little microparticles that can damage the bearings and hurt the inside of the crank case itself. All of these things are designed for one thing and one thing in mind, is the longevity of your engine. So if you've got a good filtration system, it'll not only protect your race engine, it'll help protect your car that you drive every day. Guys?
Thanks, Jeff. Now Kevin LePage stayed out to lead a lap and now makes his pit stop. Michael Waltrip stayed out with him, but Waltrip did not get to lead a lap. He pitted with LePage. And the cars many laps down with damage also on pit road. Clint Boyer, J.J. Yaley, and Tony Stewart out and back into the race. Here is today's All-State Good Hands driver, Kasey Kahne. I'll show you why. Traffic jam here. They're 3 wide. They're going to be 4 wide no matter. Just almost bank it off the wall. Drive on around the outside and make a clean pass. On behalf of Kasey, Allstate will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the Urban Youth Racing School from Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
We've got 36 cars on the lead lap right now here at lap 114 with 86 to go. Kyle Petty, Darrell and I kind of questioned what he was doing, but he stayed out on the apron till he had enough time to get to pit road to get those tires changed, and Kyle actually stayed on the lead lap. Right now he's back in 35th.
But Larry, the car on the screen, the 41 car, if no tires was a good strategy to get to the rain, I think 2 tires might not be a bad strategy to try to get to the rain.
As long as you got a good handling race car, and his car has been up there in the top 10, close to the top 10 most of the race.
Sorensen was 11th when he pitted. He is now the leader. He had a tough night last night in the Busch race in Kentucky. Crashed twice, the second one putting him out of the race. But he leads now with 85 laps to go as we go back to green.
There's no question as you look back over our grandstand here, it's getting darker and darker. And I know these crew chiefs are looking at it too, and they're saying, if you got them, use them.
See right there, over 160 miles per hour building speed through turn 1 and 2 going on to the back straightaway. Riding with Kevin Harvick here in the 29 car right now, battling Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch. He's in the 9th position right now.
Outside corner.
He's been pretty solid all day long. But you know, as we looked at Kurt Busch and the 2 cars, we've got a battle for the lead right now. 4 tires versus 2 tires. Kasey Kahne in the 9 on the outside of Reed Sorensen. Down the backstretch, I'm sure Kasey Kahne with his new red wheels, he will prevail.
Yeah, I like those red wheels.
And just as last week, Denny Hamlin had problems and had to fight his way back to the front. Kasey Kahne does the same today. Didn't take him near as long to get back to the front on this big, wide 2-mile speedway.
Just to update the fans that may have just joined us, remember Kasey Kahne, the 9 car, started on the pole, had a practice crash yesterday, major repairs to that car. On lap 47, had to make an unscheduled green flag stop for overheating, and here at lap 117, he has taken the lead back after all of that.
I tell you what, once he gets that bad boy out front, Kane in the 9, Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle better step it up a notch because he is going to be on the move.
Comes Greg Biffle in the 16 car, drives to the outside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, trying to follow Reed Sorensen in the 41 car.
Dale Jr. is a smart racer, guys. I mean, he races just he doesn't want to overdo it. He races as hard as he needs to. But if you're better than he is, he'll get out of your way.
Seen him give that hand out the left side window a couple of times today down the back straightaway, and I think he's just basically telling that driver, you know, thanks for racing me smart here. I'm faster than you, and you told me where to go by you. Thank you.
Hand signals, people just don't realize how we just wave and give each other so many hand signals. And there's Biffle and Dale Jr. all the way down on the apron, which is perfectly legal here. There are no out of bounds. A lot of guys swoop down there late in the race trying to break the draft or the concentration of the guy behind them. Watch this. It's perfectly legal. You get a real strong run off the corner like Biffle did. Now you're going to drop down and get the draft off of Dale Jr.'s car, the 8. They go down on the apron. It's perfectly legal. There's no out of bounds. Shorter route. I mean, you run down the hill to get to the apron, and then you come back up in front of the car you're trying to pass.
2 weeks when we're in Daytona, Pepsi 400 will be illegal, but as you said, no out of bounds here.
Laps to go. Casey Kane out in front. Right now, Kane is the fastest car on the speedway. Can he win from the pole again? Stay tuned.
Big hug.
That goes into 40, 80, 85 behind you. Inside, 11 inside.
Still outside. 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 Clear. Still outside. Outside. Starting to get a little rain up here. Outside. Outside. Clear. Outside. Caution's out. Caution's out. Caution's out. From the time of caution, we were ahead of them.
Get to AutoZone. They have everything to help you keep your
Fucking radio stuff. again, Todd.
8 laps on tires, Billy. I think we should stay out right here. We can make it on one more stop to the end without stopping here. You got your brake blowers and your bead blowers on and all that, right?
Everything's on.
All right, 10-4.
As Bill Lester was pulling into the pit just in front of him. A lot of front end repair on Kenseth's car ensued. But he's fought his way back. Then he got up against Tony Raines and spun and had to fight his way back yet again. He did get one free pass to get back on the lead lap, and now he's climbed into the top 15.
That wasn't that many laps ago that he spun out. That was back on lap 66. And here we've got Mark Martin and a few cars pitting here, but I think most of the cars stayed out. I'm sure right now there's a mad scramble looking at the different weather maps and weather channels.
Yeah, Mark was back in 20th spot, so it's not a big surprise that he would come to pit road.
Joe Nemechek's team at work. Mark done and out of there. So evidently these teams don't feel that this is going to be a sustained rain that will be able to get this race restarted.
Be some good stuff if we do, because that's pretty smart to come in right now and get those tires.
Of course, this pit stop here, should we go back to green flag racing, and I think we will, this still will not get you to the end. So I think that's a lot what the guys up front were thinking. We got a little bit of flirting with rain. We can't make it to the end if we pit here, so let's just stay out.
Trouble on the 19 here.
This has been going on about every caution. They've had the hood up on the winner from the August race here last year, Jeremy Mayfield, the 19. So they've been making repairs on this car almost every time the caution has been out.
Dick Berggren?
Well, the problem is principally handling on the number 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield. They even have adjusted the camber on the car in an earlier pit stop. I mean, you see the mechanics coming back with big wrenches. That's not a good sign of a car that's handling well. He is running the back of the pack all day.
This has to be so frustrating for Ray Evernham, I'm sure, as it has been all year long. Again, Jeremy Mayfield, you know, making the chase the last 2 years. He's sitting way back in the points. And right now, the 9 car, Casey Kane, with 3 wins up there leading this race.
There's a look at Kane. Mayfield is still on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap. Only 2 cars out of the race, Kenny Schrader and Derek Cope. As we go down to Chris and Jeff for a Visa race break.
All right, thanks, Mike. A quick recap. We started 45 minutes late because of the rain. Casey Kane, the pole sitter. But on lap 22, Tony Stewart nudged by Jeff Green's going about 175 miles per hour. Tony fourth in points, had to go behind the wall and steamed, but got out to help repair his car. And 70 laps down, they did get the 20 car back on the track. The 2-time NASCAR champ. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jeff Gordon led 50 of the first 100 laps of this race, but Junior, who's led just 3, taking the lead here, leading 3 laps on Father's Day. We've had 10 leaders, 17 lead changes, including Casey Kane, who at one point was a lap down because of the debris on the grill, but has worked his way back up to lead this race. He is ahead of Carl Edwards with 74 laps to go, and this has been a Visa race break no matter what it takes. Remember, Jeff, that life takes Visa. And this track takes another caution. We have our 9th caution flag that actually ties the record for Michigan. Of course, 3 of those have had to do with rain at different times in the race. So that's the question now. We've heard some of the crew chiefs talk about guessing when the rain is coming or more rain with storm clouds. What's the thinking at this stage of the race?
Right now, I think everybody's thinking track position. And unless you've got a real ill-handling race car, we saw a couple of cars come down pit road. They knew they needed to work on it to kind of move up through the ranks. But guys who are up front, you can believe one thing, they'll be staying up front and really watching this radar to make sure that they don't come down pit road inadvertently and give up a win.
Jimmy Johnson, who came in as the points leader, although that lead shrinking. Kenseth was making it a close race. Mike documented some of Matt Kenseth's problems earlier.
And the one thing I want you to notice right now, looking at Tony Eury Jr., they're talking, they're looking. I mean, all these crew chiefs right now are trying to get as much information. Where's the rain at? How far is it? How much rain are we going to have? Are we going to go back green? If we do, is there any more rain coming in behind that? That will help determine what you're going to do to your car and how hard your driver is going to run here. I mean, it's going to start putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these teams, but we are past halfway. If the rain hits here and stays, it'll be an official race.
And remember, as you get a look at Ray Evernham, and of course he has the lead car with Casey Kane, that there are no lights here. Of course, it stays light out till about 9:30 or 10 this time of year at this part of Michigan, but you have dark clouds rolling in.
Dark clouds rolling in, but we just heard a minute ago, we will be getting ready to go back to green, so the track must be clearing off. And again, that's what everybody's kind of watching. It looks like there's rain off in the distance, and let's see how kind of things play out now.
Some Irish eyes are smiling in the Irish Hills. Casey Kane leads Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. under caution. 73 laps to go here in Michigan.
Well, I went to a
Coming pretty decent now.
Brett says it's coming down heavier, but he hasn't lost the track yet.
No, not yet. It gets blacker though. Maybe that's just the rubber.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's not raining right now, but it's gonna rain pretty good when it does hit.
And it's all around us right now. They're going to bring you down pit road this time.
Head for. I just lost my right ear again. I think it must be touching like a broken wire that it touches and it doesn't.
No car covers. They might change their mind now that it's picking up here. They said nobody walk out there. Nobody walk out there. Just
with purchase of Q synthetic oil or oil change.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on, come on.
Meet me at the 29 pit box so we can talk about what we want to do here. If we do go that green. Just not so much strategy. You got that laid out. Just about chassis stuff.
Yeah, 10-4. I'll be down.
Greg, y'all got everything you need down there? Yes, thank you. So let's make some crash wrap down here. Down. Where's that crash wrap out of the generator over there, Crumlin? Razor blade. Razor blade in that little tool tray in there on the side, that red box. There, Hoss. I got a blade. Just bring the stuff there. Oh man, we're all right.
He was having a decent run. Now he's 27th. Bobby Labonte, who we talked about a little bit there before that caution, he's back in 28th. So those guys elected to come into pits, and who knows, might not have been such a good idea.
Well, that'll happen at a place that's as wide as this when you have such frequent cautions. 9 ties the record, and you still have 37 cars on the lead lap. So you make the wrong choice, you go a long way back.
There's a young man right there that we really he's not been in a position that we've said a whole lot about in the FedEx uniform. Denny Hamlin, our winner and Bud Pole winner from Pocono. But right now, I think this is the type of day he was looking for here at Michigan. They have struggled. Their car has been loose all weekend long. His 2 teammates have been in trouble, J.J. Yaley and Tony Stewart. But right now, Denny Hamlin sitting in 12th. Remember, he moved in the top 10 in points last week. Denny may be one of those guys that says, let it rain, boys.
Hey, he's letting a smile be his umbrella after that win at Pocono.
You see Casey Mears there messing around with his future teammate, dump a little water on him, which I don't think he'll notice.
That's right. We mentioned briefly earlier that Brian Vickers announced that he is leaving the number 25 team. He's going to go out on his own. We don't know what his plans are as of yet for 2007. And that seat did not grow cold when Rick Hendrick announced that Casey Mears would come on board and drive the 25 beginning in 2007.
But you know, back to Casey Mears, right now he's sitting in the 7th position. If he can hold on to this top 10, he started the season off with 3 consecutive top 10 finishes, right up there actually in the top 5 in points. And he has not had a top 10 since then, so this would be a pretty good day for him.
Most of the cars pulled onto pit road to the red flag. One of them went straight to the garage to Steve Burns.
And Mike, Tony just got out of the race car. Tony, you guys are officially out. What happened on the racetrack, and how tough is it for you?
Well, I mean, it's not what we wanted by any means, but you know, just got clipped in the left rear. You know, it wasn't anything intentional by any means. Just you know, Jeff was a little eager probably. We weren't even really running that hard. I mean, we were just kind of taking our time, and you know, just every time we got too wide, it gave Jeff a run. But you know, Jeff pulled up beside me there on the caution, kind of asked if everything was all right. I told him we're cool. So you know, Jeff's a great guy. Him and I've always got along good, and there's you know, it's just racing. You know, it's no big deal.
Tony, we saw you swinging the hammer. Is the shoulder blade okay?
Man, I was sitting there talking to the guys. Can you imagine what the bill for J.D. Gibbs is going to be when he gets the invoice from Greg Zippadelli and myself for fabrication work? I mean, our hourly rate's not cheap, so it's fine. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I feel really good. Don't feel good about the day, obviously, but you know, physically I feel great. So just look forward to Sonoma next week.
Glad you're all right. We'll see you next week. Dick?
Jeff Green was the other party involved in that incident with Tony Stewart, and I have briefed Jeff Green on what Tony Stewart has had to say in that interview. You were walking back with Greg Zippadelli, Stewart's crew chief. What did you say to him?
I apologized. I mean, I don't drive that away, and I just got in a little bit over my head. My car pushed, and Tony held his line, and I got up into him. I hated it. You know, I wouldn't do that away, anybody that away, and Tony's a good friend of mine, and I know he's racing for that championship and that top 10, and our Best Buy Chevy is really good at that point, and just probably a little eager, like he said, I guess. So just apologize to those guys, all those guys on that 20 car. They deserve better, and my guys do too, so I just made a mistake today.
Well, it's amazing how tempers cool down. I was listening to Tony Stewart just after that incident, and he was absolutely furious, but he's calmed down with a little bit of time, and all seems to be forgiven. Matt?
And Greg Biffle, winner of 2 of the last 3 races here at Michigan. Now, usually you just kill them down in 3 and 4, but today it's down in 1 and 2. What's wrong with 3 and 4?
Just a little bit tight down there, you know, and I was getting it there at the end, you know. It's overdriving the corner a little bit because this racetrack's so different at both ends, but I was really good in 1 and 2, and usually I'm pretty good down in 3 and 4, but I just needed a hot sunny day, you know. My car shines in that kind of racetrack where it's slick, and after about 15 laps the tires get slick and off my race car goes. So this is bad news for me, these cold temperatures and bunching the field up, caution after caution. But I tell you, the guys are doing a good job. We've adjusted on it some, and you know, just wish it wouldn't rain.
I know next week you've got a big production going on with a charity thing that's very special to you.
Yeah, we're announcing a sponsor for our pet calendar next week in Sonoma. We're really excited about that, and you know, we got a raffle going on, winbifflesbike.com. It's a chopper, custom-built chopper for raffle. We're going to give it away in Phoenix and raising money for all the pets and animals. So that's really exciting. I want to say hi to my dad. I know he's watching. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there watching today.
Big picture-wise, this is a great points day for you.
Yeah, it really is. I was asking where the 5 and 11 were there when it was raining like this, because it's going to take a while to drive this racetrack. Unfortunately, I think I have a car I can win with here, and it just breaks my heart that it's going to rain. If it had stayed green for, you know, 2 tire runs, green flag cycle, I think I could have had a pretty good lead.
Now, he started the day 27 markers out of the top 10 in the championship standings. If the race does not restart, he will leave here unofficially in the top 10, Mike.
Now, we know that one thing, and Greg Biffle and his crew chief Doug Richard is known for, besides running up front at Nextel Cup races, is Subway commercials. They just shot a new commercial. Greg threw 34 Subway sandwiches in Doug Richard's face before they got the shot they wanted. You don't think Doug Richard is a good sport?
Larry, that's why those crew chiefs get the big money.
I know somebody that Hammond and I could do that. I mean, did you see the deal we did with the pie?
Would he take 34 pies, though? Would he be that good of a sport?
It takes him about that long to catch on.
That you're throwing pies.
That you might be throwing a pie in. Hey, you know why Tony's not upset? Think about where we're going next week and who is the defending champion.
A little road racing with Tony Stewart as the defending champion.
You got that right, and I love that. Did you see that Happy Father's Day on a little crumbled up quarter panel?
Glad they got a sense of humor about it.
Getting dark here. We've had the threat of rain all afternoon. That's Casey Kane. The camera's following him. It is official, and that's your winner. Casey Kane walking in the rain, pulling his hair back. And let's take you back if we could. So Casey Kane, your winner here in Michigan, rain shortened 129 laps. 5th win. He again wins from the pole. 4 of his victories have come from the pole.
I think right now he's definitely singing in the rain as far as he's concerned, because look, he's not got an umbrella. He's not worried about anything. His day is kind of like this, kind of like falling right where it needed to on that last pit stop, the most opportune time.
The guy with Click on his car, the movie Adam Sandler, who is the Grand Marshal, got things started today for us in Michigan.
Gentlemen, start your
At Click with the cars, Adam, your Grand Marshal. After a 45-minute delay to the start of the race because of rain, things a little slick for Robbie Gordon. Spins out to bring out the first caution. Problem in the pits all day for a number of drivers. Matt Kenseth, who came in 2nd in points. Multiple pit stops. He had a little brush with Bill Lester, who was in this race. Lester's car suffering some damage. Kenseth later worked himself back up into the top 15, but more problems with him in a moment. Lap 22, Tony Stewart, who came in 4th in points. Incidental, causing accidental results. Jeff Green, Tony Steen behind the garage, sat out for 70 laps, helped out to get back in. Set a union violation, but officially out of the race just as the rain came and the red flag came out. Meanwhile, Gibbs Racing struggling with one of 6 rookies in the race. That's J.J. Yaley with a rough pit. 4 drivers involved in this mishap. And Kenseth trying to maintain his comeback, spinning out, falling further back. Kenseth would work his way back up to 13th when this race was called. Jeff Gordon led 50 of the first 100 laps. He started on the front row. But there was a brief moment in the retro car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on Father's Day taking the lead, led 3 laps on this day, and as Jeff pointed out, hung in there, currently running 3rd, but off pit road moments ago, taking 2 tires. Casey Kane in the Evernham Dodge edges his way back out and ahead of Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the rain-shortened race here in Michigan.
If you don't believe that sometimes the races are won or lost off pit road, you take a look at that replay and you get a pretty good idea. As good a job as Casey did, his crew came through when it counted.
Let's check in for some thoughts from Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Casey Kane is only the second driver to win at Michigan from the pole in the last 21 races here. Jeff Gordon won this race 5 years ago from the pole, and this becomes the third rain-shortened race here. August of '69 and June of '74 are the only prior races to fall victim to rain.
Tell you one thing, I'd sleep with that race car. That's its fourth win. If I was Casey Kane, I wouldn't let that thing out of my sight.
But Darrell, you've been talking about it all day long, even in the pre-race. I think the big smiles, besides from this 9 group, will come from the 8 group. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that group finished 3rd, led this race, and we watched him a while ago, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. Now we're headed to a road course. Now we're headed to Daytona, and that 24 group pretty solid. But congratulations to Reed Sorensen, Jimmy Elledge in the 41 car. You see it right there, finished 5th. His first career top 5 Nextel Cup finish, and who would have believed strategy played a little part in it.
Well, his teammate's not far behind right there in 7th, Casey Mears as well. So good day for Ganassi, and they needed that because they really struggled at times.
So Casey Kane will go to victory lane. His 4th win of 2006, leading the league, and his 5th career win in 87 starts. It's the 4th time he has won from the pole.
Sprint post-race show. You're watching NASCAR on Fox from Michigan. It's all over. Casey Kane winning the rain-shortened event here. And let's head down to, I guess, what is a victory fountain in the garage area, and our Steve Burns. Steve?
Yeah, it's a makeshift winner's circle, Chris Myers. Casey Kane, what a great recovery by you and your race team, getting up into the wall in happy hour yesterday. What does it feel like to win here in Michigan?
It's pretty crazy, really, to win in the rain, be in the right spot there at the end. But we did have the best car. There was a lot of good cars, but we fought our way back to the front. And the guys rebuilt my car from yesterday, and just pretty cool to get our Dodge Steelers, your UAW Dodge Charger, back in victory lane.
Casey, you said you had the best car. Pretty confident if we had gone 200 laps, you would have been there at the end?
Well, and I know we would have challenged for it. I know Carl, Greg, the Hendrick cars were good. There's a few of them that were really good, and we were one of them at that point in time. So we would have challenged for it, but either way, we won, and happy Father's Day. My dad's here. First time he's been here for a Nextel Cup win for me, and all the fathers out there. Just a great weekend, and just proud, man. I'm excited. I can't believe we won in the rain.
Congratulations on your 4th win of 2006. We go to Dick Berggren.
With Junior, 3rd place. Have you ever had a stranger 3rd place finish than today?
Yeah, I'm sure I have. This ain't really all that strange. We had a great car, and on that run right there, we weren't good enough to win, but we had a car earlier in the race that was good enough to win. I asked them to tighten it up, and they tightened it up a little bit too much. So, but it is late, and we got a lot of things get done, get home, get to doing. But so we'll take a 3rd place. Real happy. I've never really had a good car here, that good anyway. So we're really excited about coming back here in a month or so.
Well, we're excited about seeing you at Sonoma next weekend. Thank you. Congratulations. Matt.
A great big picture day for Carl Edwards, but it's always a gamble when you're battling the rain.
Yeah, big pictures. I always tell people I want a big picture of victory lane. That's what I'd like. But first of all, happy Father's Day to my dad and all the other fathers out there. Had a great race, man. Our office depot Ford was really good. And my pit crew. I mean, coming back from the debacle there at Pocono to have great pit stops. And I guess Casey beat us out by about a foot. And congratulations to him. They did a great job.
And I know you and a number of other people were commenting about how close that battle was off pit road.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I started to realize how pivotal that was going to be, and as far as the outcome of the race, I said I'd really like to see that tape, and they showed it, and he definitely beat us. And it's a good points day, but man, I want to get that first win for Wally and all the guys, and heck, but it was still a blast. I had a good time.
Carl Edwards, 2nd here at Michigan, and he's never finished out of the top 10 at MIS.
These are the unofficial race results, though. Casey Kane, your winner. Jeff Gordon winding up 8th. For Reed Sorensen, best career finish. Greg Biffle up there, 6th straight top 10.
Well, you take a look right there also. Casey Mears, right there, a strong run by him. And even Jeff Gordon, like I say, he was on his way back up through the field, but he had a little bit of a problem. Another strong run by Jeff Burton. And there you look and see Denny Hamlin, who won last week, up in 12th.
Brian Vickers ending up 17th. Dale Jarrett 20th. Couple of drivers who will be changing positions for next year, at least to driving teams. Jamie McMurray back a little bit. Bobby Labonte had a good run.
Yeah, Bobby had things going his way, but then right there toward the end, he, like Mark Martin, I think, came down pit road, gave up some track position, and then the rains kind of got them in trouble.
Bill Lester winding up 32nd, an improvement over where he finished in Atlanta when he wound up 38th. J.J. Yaley, part of the mishap of Gibbs Racing, or the unfortunate day. And as we round it out, Tony Stewart, third finish of 40th or worse this season, having problems since lap 22. The rain continues to fall, but Casey Kane will leave here a winner in Michigan. Don't leave us. We have a lot more to cover. Nice to have you with us for NASCAR on Fox.
And speaking of Matt Kenseth, you just talked about him. Remember, we talked at the top of the show about chasing the weather. Here's a car that had damage on pit road. He spun out. He fought his way back to 13th. And with Jimmy Johnson finishing 6th, what could have been a disastrous day, he only gave up 26 more points to the 48 car, still only sitting 74 points behind that leader, Jimmy Johnson.
We come back here in August as we continue the race to the chase. Here are the points. You see Biffles moved into the top 10, displacing Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin there in 9th. Jimmy Johnson padded his lead just a little bit.
I know today was a great day, and these guys are looking forward to coming back here in about a month and a half. But you know what I'm looking forward to? Pour the wine and cut the cheese, boys. We're going road racing next week.
I'll pour the wine, thanks.
All right, I'll cut the cheese.
I figured you would. Let's show you what's coming up ahead on NASCAR on Fox.
Next week, Fox goes west to wine country.
Oh, big trouble, big miss.
It's ugly right there.
Jeff Gordon will come off turn 12 and score his 8th road course checkered flag. 20th career win for Tony Stewart.
Then we go under the lights in Daytona, USA.
Jeff Gordon's DuPont Pepsi Chevy is going to win the Pepsi 400.
Join Fox for a USA birthday bash at America's most famous track. It's the Pepsi 400, Saturday night, July 1st, right here on Fox.
Tony Stewart won both of those races last year, the Pepsi 400 and the road course at Infineon Raceway in the wine country. Jeff, we have 11 races to go to the chase for the championship. And Jeff Gordon right now is just on the fringe, on the outside looking in.
Well, I think right now, going into Sonoma next week, we ought to see a really fierce battle between Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart as far as that track is concerned. But we also can't forget, when we go to the road course, we got road course aces coming out, like Boris said, Ron Fellows. So we're going to have some exciting racing next week out there in California.
And Casey Kane, the only driver with 4 wins this year, making a statement that he'll be a part of the championship chase on Father's Day. His father, Kelly, got him interested in racing. As a youngster, he owned sprint cars, raced in Washington. His dad actually built a dirt track in a field, and they lived on a farm to help him race. And Casey Kane making it pay off for his dad. Promotional consideration provided by these fine people. And it was lap 117 when Casey, of the 129 complete laps, took over for good, even though he started out on the pole. This rain-shortened race final